What's happening, guys? Back at you with another video. So with the release of Creed 3, I thought it would be a good time to actually rank all 9 of the Rocky and Creed movies that are in the franchise. So basically leading up to the release of Creed 3, I basically binge watched or rewatched all the movies. All 9 movies are going to be ranked in this video. So let's go ahead and get into it. Alright, starting off at the bottom, probably no surprise to anybody, is going to be Rocky 5. Now, I know this is one of the most disliked Rocky movies among fans and all that, but upon recent rewatch, I gotta say, I don't think it's as bad as people say it is. Now, yes, it is definitely not on par with some of the other Rocky movies, and this definitely does go at the bottom for me, but it's not as bad as I hear people talking about it. I think it has kind of some, not necessarily good things, but it's kind of watchable, and has some things about it that are still kind of watchable about it. Like I said, definitely not on par with the other Rocky movies in the franchise, so that's why it's definitely at the bottom. Moving on to the next movie on the list is going to be Rocky 3. Now, Rocky 3 is definitely a good watch, but is definitely a product of its time. This movie came out in 1982, I believe, so it's definitely a product of the 80s where if you had like the villain of Clubber Lang today, it wouldn't really work as like that type of villain. It works definitely for the movie he's in and during the time period he's in, but might not work as far as today. But with all the way that Rocky 3 was actually starting out, this is where it kind of start getting into like the campy stuff, more training montages, things like that, more campiness that was going on during the 80s. This is kind of the starting point to that. But yeah, I still enjoy watching it. I still like it. So, but it's on this spot on the list. Moving on to the next spot on the list is going to be Rocky Balboa. Now, Rocky Balboa has some good motivational speeches and scenes in this one, but it's definitely upon rewatch, it's definitely lacks just a little bit for me. Not that much. It's still a pretty good Rocky movie, and I still like it and all that. But just a little bit lower on the list for me. It just lacks a little bit of something. But it definitely has some great motivational scenes, especially that one scene that Rocky talks about how if you get knocked down, you gotta get back up, keep moving, and all that. Definitely was a very motivational scene in that one, and everybody knows about that scene. So it's a very powerful scene in there. Moving on to the next movie on the list is going to be Rocky 4. Now, Rocky 4 is probably going to be my favorite Rocky movie out of the franchise. I just liked everything that this movie does. It's basically like one long training montage music video. The way it's set up, it just is just peak 80s nostalgia and all that. So it's like the music is rocking, the training montages are awesome. You get this extended, it's like one extended long music video almost with just music playing, montages, training montages, things like that. And we also get a great villain with Drago in here, and we get a great match between Drago and Apollo Creed does end up dying in this movie, but we get a great story out of it to where Rocky is suffering, tries to avenge his friend's death, goes to Russia, fights Drago, and basically ends on a motivational speech and all that. So it's definitely peak 80s, like I said, but it's definitely one of my favorites in the franchise. Now, these next movies, going up on these next movies on the list was definitely a very hard task to rank these ones because I was definitely going back and forth on these next couple ones. I was like I switched it around so many times already. But as of right now, this is how I would rank them. Definitely can change in the future, but we'll see if that does happen. But as of right now, this is how I rank them. So moving on to the next movie on the list is going to be Creed 3, the most recent release of the Creed franchise. Creed 3, with Michael B. Jordan's directorial debut. I think this is a solid movie and a solid addition to the Creed franchise. I like a lot of things that Michael B. Jordan was able to do. It's not perfect, but it's still a solid movie and a solid directorial debut for Michael B. Jordan. I like a lot of fight scenes. He was definitely chose a specific type of artistic style, or artistic style, to where it was like very anime inspired, and if you're an anime fan, you could definitely recognize some of those things in the movie when watching the fights. I was definitely able to recognize some of the stuff he was able to do where it was anime inspired with some of the fights. I don't know if it'll be for everybody, but I like the way that he was able to bring something a little different to these movies and, go do his own creative kind of style to it. And like I said, it's a great, solid directorial debut. It's a solid movie and a solid addition to the Creed franchise. So I still enjoyed it, but it's at this spot on the list. Moving on to the next spot on the list is going to be the first Creed movie. Now, this one I really like and I really enjoy it so much. Um, we get the pretty much a legacy, continuing the legacy of the Rocky movies. This legacy of Apollo Creed also, where we get his son who is trying to prove himself. Not necessarily in the beginning, he's not necessarily taking a Creed name, he's trying to make a name of his own, but eventually he does take on the Creed name and he builds his own legacy, trying to prove himself and all that. He loses in his final fight in the movie, he loses by a split decision, but it's still a great motivational movie to where, you know, sometimes you just gotta prove yourself and all that stuff. And he was able to prove himself, and be able to put out this legacy, start this legacy up for himself, and prove his worth and all that. Moving on to the next movie on the list is going to be Creed 2. Creed 2 is definitely a amazing, awesome movie. I think it does a lot of great things, bringing back Drago and actually bringing in his son, and we get that tie to Apollo's death and all that, to where it's going to be Creed, Adonis Creed going up against Drago's son. I think it does a great job when it comes to like Drago and his son, to like kind of humanize them and kind of get their perspective on some things. On they're not necessarily liked, or they're not really welcomed in their country and all that, but they try to prove themselves, and you get kind of their perspective on things, and you kind of feel their side of it and all that. But of course, you get also Adonis Creed, who's trying to continue his legacies, keep proving himself and all that. He's championing this movie, and after his first fight with Drago, he's badly injured, comes back, he's able to fight Drago in the final fight and defend his championship. One of the best fights. I really like this fight because watching this fight actually gave me chills watching this fight. So it's one of my favorite fights in the whole Rocky and Creed franchise. So I really enjoyed it, and I really enjoyed this movie. Moving on to the next spot on the list is going to be Rocky 2. With Rocky 2, it does a lot of great things. One of the things I like is that we are able to get this, Rocky is married to Adrian. They're going to have their son and all that. Unfortunately, she does go into a coma and all that. And, basically, we see how Rocky is suffering, and we get his, humanizes him, and we get his perspective on different things, to where he's just struggling. He's trying to just just trying to get through this and all that stuff. And, we have Apollo Creed, who came out in the first movie, who wants his rematch, and, he's trying to go after his rematch. And the thing I like about this movie is that we finally get the final fight between Apollo Creed and Rocky ends up winning the championship, which I like. So there's a lot of great things about this movie. I really enjoyed this movie. But going off into the number one spot, there's probably no surprise to anybody, but it's going to be the first Rocky movie. I'll say that we get this character of Rocky, starting off with this movie, and I just like how this story is told, to where we get this guy who's just trying to make ends meet. He's just going through life, just trying to get through life and all that. He's kind of the loan shark. The loan shark's forgot what it's called. His person that goes after the people for the loan shark and all that stuff. And we just get this incredible story, to where Rocky is just trying to, he's a boxer and all that stuff. We get Apollo Creed, who gives him a shot, and he's really not trying to win. He's just really trying to prove himself. Throughout the movie, we get this try to have this budding relationship with Adrian, but also too, we get where he's trying to prove himself, to where he's talking about, nobody ever took down Apollo Creed, nobody ever went the distance with Apollo Creed. So he's trying to prove himself that he could go the distance with Apollo Creed and keep up with them and all that. And one of the things I like about this is when we get to the final fight between Apollo Creed and Rocky, I like how he doesn't win, because it makes it a little bit more satisfying whenever he does win in the second one. So whenever he doesn't actually win in this one, it makes it more satisfying for the second movie. But whenever he doesn't win, he doesn't really care about hearing the actual decision, because he lost due to a split decision. And we get to where he's at the end of the fight, and he's not worried about who won, who lost, whatever. He's just looking out for Adrian. And we see that throughout the movie, how he was like having this relationship with Adrian, trying to start a relationship with her, and just showing how he loves her and all that stuff. And I think really speaks to his character, to where it's like, he wasn't worried about winning. He wasn't worried about just going the distance, trying to prove himself. And when it came down to it, he really just cares about Adrian and stuff. So it's really kind of like a love story in a sense too, with wrapped around the story of boxing and all that stuff. So it really was a compelling story that he came up with for the first movie. I like the first movie. I really like it. I gotta say that Rocky, when it comes to the Rocky and Creed franchise, is one of my most favorite franchises of all time. When it comes to movies, I like those movies so much. I like the Rocky movies. I like the Creed movies. So definitely are, and this is a solid franchise too. If Rocky 5 is the worst in the franchise, that's kind of saying something, because Rocky 5, like I said, upon rewatching it, it wasn't as bad as I remember it. But still not on par with the other Rocky films. So if Rocky 5 is the worst, this is definitely a solid franchise. So it's one of my favorite franchises of all time when it comes to movies. I enjoy it so much. But yeah, I like this franchise so much. It's awesome. It's awesome. But yeah, let me know down in the comments below if you could rank all the movies from bottom to the top. How would you do it? But that's going to do it all for this video. Hope you all enjoyed it. Remember, if you want to be a part of Team Legendary, all you got to do is subscribe and turn notifications on so you know when I post another video. Hope you all have an awesome day. And remember, be legendary.